Hey VC. I haven't done these vinyl videos recently. It's been other things, you know, because I haven't found any really big finds recently, and I don't have the money right now to spend. And I might look through my collection, but for the most part, I don't have things I can think off of my head I really want to get rid of necessarily, you know. This is a great Laura Nyro album I've been listening to, called Smile. Great record. She's great, man. She's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame like in a week and a half or so. This year's induction. I was listening to another one of hers I love yesterday. I was helping Mary unpack and move into her new home. It's really amazing. It's a real home, you know, not an apartment, nice home. Her and two other people. Huge, man. Huge. It's one of those nights for a nice cold glass of milk, huh? Has my name inscribed on there. That's how I roll. So, on Tuesday is when I posted that recorded that video talking about John Michael Talbot, right? And you guys know from the beginning I was speaking how my heart was transforming, how it was an amazing, amazing night, and it really was. While I was worshiping, or I think it was near the end of after our sermon when we were closing out with some worship. I can't remember exactly what was being said. I think someone was speaking, maybe not the pastor, but maybe someone else was up there at the end speaking about, I think it was just talking, I don't remember the ideas of necessarily what made me bring to say this, but I must have been somewhere along the lines of just, you know, letting that stuff go that maybe is guilt and, you know, that you've been carrying for a while, you know, get rid of that extra baggage. So, you know, the first thing that came to my mind without thinking about it was just my relationship with my little brother. My little brother is 10 years old. You guys might have seen him in that video we did with the Jay Dilla video that one time. My little brother's 10 years old, and he has a hard life, and it makes a hard life for the whole family. He's been diagnosed with lots of things. ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder, ADD, OCD, and as of last year and a half ago, even like a mild form of Asperger's. So, he's just very, you know, so it can get very intense, and the house can seem like hell at sometimes, you know. And when I came back here and I lived here and decided to leave that last job I had and start fresh here and new, I thought, oh, this would be great. You know, I can really spend time and be there for my brother. And since the summer, when I started going to my small group and going to church, and I started opening up to people in small group for the first time. I never knew about small groups where basically you just get together on a weekly basis and hang out at someone's house with people in your community from church and talk about maybe what the sermon the night before did for you, and then talk about what's going on in your life. It's just, you know, it's good to have that backbone. I remember a lot in the summer, a big thing in my mind was, that came up a lot in my conversations with people, was just my feelings of distress and guilt and just not being able to be the brother and the good brother that I want to be for my brother. You know, just, it's so easy for me to just shrug Tommy off. You know, I'm in the house here, I hang out in my room a lot. You know, I listen to my records I'm going through, and I go on my computer, and besides sitting down eating dinner, I'm not really like involved with, like, my parents. They have these systems they go through with him, you know, where like they watch like a show or two every night after dinner, and then he goes to bed, and they have to have these systems, you know. And I'm not involved with that stuff that much. I just, you know, I beat myself up out sometimes, you know. Sometimes I try to make an excuse out of it and talk about how, and think to myself about how I'm just so different in age and everything, but there really isn't any real justified excuse for that, right? Not being there for your siblings. And, so, this past Tuesday, I just opened up my heart, and the first thing that came to my mind when I was speaking to Jesus was just about me just not being there for Tommy, you know. And I feel like I'm bringing him back up, and it's like after the summer, I don't know when, but at some point I feel like some things were going I don't know, somehow I just feel like I haven't thought about it that much. I think I sort of threw the whole issue that I have with my feelings about my relationship with my little brother under the rug. And now when people call me all the time and I talk to people, as you guys know, it's just always, it seems to be about the thing that's going on in my life. That's like the thing that's defining me, and not that I wanted to, but the thing that's going on that I'm trying to work on and change and stuff is my work, my job, where I'm working, the minimum wage pays, the check living situation I'm in, you know? Now, in the last couple of weeks, I've been able to sort of let that go, and I'm trying, you know, things have been happening where I've been able to sort of, you know, focus on other things and not realize I shouldn't be pushing myself too hard there, and let it ride out and keep my ear to the ground on other things. And that seems to be working okay. So I think that because of that, this came back into the light. So without me planning it or like really thinking about it, you know, just, there's probably lots of things people can think of. Like, it's what popped out of my mouth on Tuesday night with me in private during worship. And I remember thinking to myself right then and there and getting excited about it. My brother always asks me if I want to eat lunch with him at his school. He likes to ask me, my dad, and my mom too. And, you know, like I said, I'm so involved with myself that I'm not the best I can be. And I'm always just like, nah, you're crazy, get out of here. I'll make a little joke out of it, and I just won't do it, you know? So after Tuesday night, I was just thinking to myself, like, I got really excited because I felt like my love, I felt like, you know, like they talk about like Christ in you and you in Christ, Christ in you. I felt like I had this love where where Christ is working in me, and I was ready to, and I said I was going to surprise him, and I was going to say, let's, you know, tell him Wednesday, be like, you know, we're going to go. Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Oh, cool, I'm going to come visit you at lunch because I had no work today, right? Then I realized yesterday on Wednesday that he's off for the week for spring break. Anyway, so today rolls around, I'm hanging out, I relaxed, I was like catching up on a couple TV shows that I haven't been catching up on recently, and, you know, listening to some Laura Nero and relaxing in bed. Like, I basically chilled in my bed and had some breakfast, but didn't really shower until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Just a day of relaxation. And Mary texted me earlier in the day, asked me if I wanted to go to this special service that they had at my church that's called like Maundy Thursday, and it has the word Maundy, it ties into something that has to do with the first, you know, the Thursday of the, you know, it's like the big Holy Week, I guess, for Christians, which is new to me too. How important Easter is, you know, with the resurrection. You know, there's Good Friday, and there's Saturday and Sunday, and of course, and there's Thursday. And it's they do a thing called respite 4 times a year. Maybe all churches do it. It's basically just a time of, you know, choir service, worship, no real sermon, just worship in and out with a couple here and there, and we do communion, which, you know, I go to a non-denominational church, so we don't really do communion on like a basis. Like, I've only done it like once in the summer through that church. So we could worship, and then another person would speak for a little bit, and then another worship, whatever. It was great. So I invited my brother today. Even down to the minute I asked him, I kept thinking to myself, something was just stopping me. Like, I was nervous to ask him, you know, because it's hard. Like, I don't feel like we connect all the time, but I've been seeing a little bit of changes in his mannerisms I've been feeling out of late. Anyway, you know how it is with family, you know, like, you guys know what it's like. You know, you can never really speak about it and get a point across, especially over a computer to someone else in another place. But obviously, you know, there's dysfunctions in families, there's dramas, there's always stuff under the rug. So anyway, there's a lot of things there for me. So it's a big thing for me. And I know it sounds funny because he's so young, and like, you have this issue with a 10-year-old, but yeah, I do. It's on my heart a lot. So I asked him, I said, hey, Tom, do you want to come to worship with me in the church and stuff? And, you know, he just was like, and he's so funny at first because he was just like, no, maybe, you know, what time? And I'm thinking to myself, like, what, do you got plans? Which he doesn't, so my mom's laughing and stuff. So I asked him to come. He says, yeah. No, I went in there. You know, we listened to music in the car from John Mark McMillan, who I mentioned, and, you know, it was more rock and stuff. And I didn't know what to go in there expecting. I didn't realize it was respite, where it's like choir service and time. It's basically just 4 times a year for respite. It's time for resting, you know, and amongst all the busyness and the craziness and the constant of like normal everyday life, it's a time to sort of reboot your engines, you know. So he came. He was wearing this funny, not funny, but like he was wearing this hat. It's like this, like, you know, one of those like top hats people wear. something like a golfer would wear almost, but not like the small ones. And it was so funny because like he's not always on top of social cues, you know what I mean? But like in certain instances, like that's amazing, and that's a blessing, you know what I mean? Like he pops on this hat that's a great hat to wear, and it was cute, you know. And we drove in there, we got there, and I felt like my heart was softened. I was a little bit easier with him and speaking with him and stuff in the car. And yeah, so we got there. Mary met us there, and she joined us. You know, he wanted to sit right up in the splash zone. He was like looking, like he was like pointing. He wanted to sit in the very first pew. So I got him to sit in the second pew, and you know I'm there with him, and these things are I'm throwing my arm around him. I'm putting my hand on his back and rubbing him, and he's not like one of those kids that's like, oh, I'm too cool for like, you know, for getting, you know, what's the word we're looking for? To getting sensitive and, you know, getting close with like me or my dad. Like, you know, like he likes that stuff. Like he'll come in for like to give me like a kiss on my cheek or a kiss on the lips. You know, like a little like Italian thing. So like he's not like that. He's into that stuff, and you know he always has this thing where all this stuff's going on. You don't know how much he's understanding, but it's almost a fascination, as if Jesus is just keeping on following him and always keeping an eye on him, because all this stuff happens with him day to day for years and years now. But he always has this like real connection with church. Like he always likes going, you know. And I talked to him a little late in the car about that, and like, you know, like what he knows. And I said when I was 10 I wouldn't get all this stuff, so you know, what does it do for you? You know, that's not nothing to go into now. Anyway, didn't know they were having this. Basically, we were celebrating the night before Jesus' crucifixion, where he sits down with his disciples, and you know, he basically lays down the rules and gives them these 2 commandments about loving one another. And this, you know, the big thing is that, you know, he gets down and he washes all of his disciples' feet. And he basically says that, you know, if I don't get down and do this, then you won't be able to be with me. You know, it's almost like one of this guy Brian Church spoke about it and said it's almost like in a way where the ministry of the towel is just as important as the ministry of the cross and everything in terms of what it means, because he made a very serious point about this. He's down there cleaning his disciples' feet. And it just says so much, you know. So my church made this thing that was optional for people, and Brian says to people, do me a favor, I'm going to ask this really weird thing, you guys, but if you look around here and who's in the church, and if you see anyone where there's any sort of, you know, maybe you guys had a little scuffle once before, or just something that maybe wasn't unresolved, or if you see someone and you just feel like you have this, you know, thing on your heart where you want to be able to go up to this person and you know, have them forgive or just take care of them, you know, go up to them and ask them if you can wash their feet, you know. And they had like 3 different chairs, 3 on one side for men, 3 on the other side for women. It's a guy who would watch over it and take care of it and stuff with the water in the buckets. There was towels laid out, and it was just crazy, guys, because, you know, I thought this whole thing on Thursday was at first. On Tuesday it brooded me, and I thought I was going to be going into school with him to go to lunch, and it turns out I wasn't going to even go to this service as of this morning. Mary in the afternoon asked me. I said, I don't really think I'm going to go. I was just lazy and tired. And then around like 5, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. You know, and I invited Tommy to come here, and it's just like, this is where I was supposed to be. You know, this is what I was supposed to be doing. And I had this moment with Tommy, and I sat down in pew with him. He was asking me, like, can we do it? Can we do it? You know, but he's just a kid, so he wants to do it, I think, just to do it, you know, to be involved with something like this. And I said to him, yeah, I said I would wash his feet. And I pulled him aside. I said to ear, I said, listen, I said to Tommy, I said, the reason why you know why I want to do this for you? And he's listening, and I've said, I know I feel a lot of guilt about this. I said, I'm not always the best brother. I know that. I know I could be just not involved and stuff, and I want you to know that I love you very much, and that I'll never go anywhere, I'll always be there for you, and I said all these things, and he was receptive, you know. He said thank you, and he was very involved. And you know, for such a quiet service with a lot of people listening to, you know, musicians perform and piano being played and people reading, like he impressed me actually, for a 10-year-old being able to sit through that and enjoy it. So maybe, you know, maybe Jesus is going to be a place for him where he can really grow because of all these issues he deals with in real life now, you know? So I washed his feet, and it was amazing, you know? And then before we did it too, he wanted to do mine as well, and he said, after I whispered to him, 5 minutes later, he says, do you know why I want to do it for you? And he started telling me, I know I can be mean, and I can fight with you, and I can curse, and I can say things and stuff, but he said the same thing to me, he wants me to know that I love him. So there's like a 25-year-old here and a 10-year-old that is having this connection, and it meant big things to me, and I couldn't believe it, because this was all put together by the Lord, where he knew that I had these feelings in my heart, he knew that I had this under the rug for a little bit, and I had my opportunity to clean my brother's feet. And then he cleaned mine. And, it was funny too. When I did it, I prayed, and he prayed with me, and then he cleaned my feet, and he said to me afterwards, "Can I pray?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can do whatever you want." He starts praying, and he's just praying these prayers, and he's just saying things that a 10-year-old would say, and it's always good. Like anyone who follows the Lord, anyone who has done anything at all, it's definitely being a part of being a Christian for 15 years before other things. It's just, she says, love and forgive, and that's what happened tonight, Stephanie. So it was beautiful. Yeah. Well, the record just ended, so maybe I'll end it on that. But, it was a great experience. Me and my brother, 10 years old, 25 years old, both washing each other's feet, both asking for forgiveness, and, it's just, you can't make stuff up like that, and you can't. Well, I'm not, what I mean. All I'm saying is that it meant a lot for me. And it was a cool night to remember. And there were some times early in the summer when I was writing some of these moments down that were important, like good moments, as being a Christian on paper. But I'm not the biggest writer. And, now I have you guys where I can be able to talk personal messages. And I feel like I have a really great response from some people, and I hope people understand and know who have watched this that I'm not judgmental. I don't care at all. Like, if you're able to watch this video, I really love you to death, and I hope that you can watch this. And if you're not a Christian and you have views, which is completely fine, like the way Henry spoke it, man, like Henry spoke, and I appreciate it. If you guys can watch these videos and you're not, and just see it for what it is, it's just a person who's showing you their heart and just and wants to just spread love out throughout the VC and the world. I mean, hopefully that's what you guys get from it. But obviously I have to talk about myself and who I am in the process. So, but I don't want you guys to focus in on the aspects. I want you guys to get the big picture and just sharing a good moment with you guys. Yeah. So one love. Keep drinking your milk. Have a good weekend. And I will see you guys soon.